my mom had like mentioned these things, but I didn't want anything to do with really anything, especially that my mom was telling me I should be doing. But as I mentioned, I picked up drugs and alcohol at an early age. I actually started using heroin for the first time at 15. And hindsight's 2020. Looking back on it, I was always looking for an outside fix for an inside job.
Mm.
And what it was is my problem was never getting sober, it was staying sober. And I couldn't stay sober because after 30, 60, or 90 days without drugs or alcohol, I felt this deep feeling of discontentment on the inside. And I knew no way other than to get high again to provide myself with temporary relief from that discomfort that I felt. And so my life became one more attempt at using heroin, followed by one more failure at using over and over and over again until eventually on August 6th of 2011, I'd been sober about 89 days because um, I'd been trying to get sober for about, we'll say 5 years, but I just wasn't willing to do what it took. And when on August 6th of 2011, I took one sip of a drink and I felt instantly hopeless on the inside, like I had been shooting heroin for months. And I
Mm.
got to what I called a jumping off place, which meant I was going to keep going on the way I was going and die, or I was going to ask for help. And luckily, I chose the latter. I chose to ask for help. And actually, previously, during those 5 years when I was attempting to get sober, but still trying to do things George's way at the time, I had been super uncomfortable in my own skin. And I was at this sober camp out, and I happened to have an MP3 player that my mom had given me to listen to some music on, but she also had some guided meditations on there. And I got curious and I'm like, I'm just going to try one of these. It was actually, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the meditation teacher, David G. He
Mm.
used to be associated with Deepak Chopra's Center for Wellbeing, and now he's just like an independent meditation teacher. But it was a guided meditation by him. I didn't have any really idea who David G was or what the meditation, was going to be like. But I was so uncomfortable in my own skin at this sober campout because one of my, biggest fears that I had was fear of what other people thought about me. And I had a really hard time communicating with the opposite sex. And so I was at this sober camp out. There were all these people there, and I just felt so uncomfortable. I was around, let's say a couple hundred people, but inside I felt totally alone. And I
Mm.
just, I, I knew I needed to stay sober, but I didn't know any other way to get any relief from the way that I felt other than to get high again. And I was stuck on this camping trip, and at the time I didn't have a car, so I couldn't leave myself, or I probably would have left and gone and got high. But I decided to try one of these guided meditations that I happen to have with me. And, looking back on it, I didn't really know what I was doing. Now understanding meditation's correct mechanics, but even just listening to this guided meditation, it helped me for the first time feel like I was able to tap into my own inner happiness. And so this time when I got sober, I remembered that feeling. And I
Mm.
actually did a 21-day guided meditation series because it was the only time I'd ever felt good in my own skin without drugs and alcohol. And I was like, wait, I can feel this way and I don't need something outside of myself. That thought came back to me when I got sober this time.